Hello and what is going on today, guys? Tomcat here and welcome to Need for Speed Heat. Now, real quick, I want to give a massive thank you to the EA Game Changers program for allowing me to come out and play this game and record it for you guys. And now we're going to jump into the game itself. Now, what I've done here is I have been able to bring you guys the very first part of the storyline, the very first part of the campaign, and I have left it largely uncut so you guys can see pretty much everything that happens here. Now, there will be some parts where I will go ahead and be quiet and let you guys listen to what's going on, but when you first load into the game, this is what you're going to see right here.
The Speed Hunters Showdown is back as Palm City plays host once again to the state's foremost racing exhibition. Each day, thousands of eager fans will be hoping to catch a glimpse of the very best high-performance cars in action. But when the sun goes down, you can quickly find yourself in a far more dangerous territory. Welcome to the world of street racing. An underground scene inhabited by daredevils and speed freaks intent on tearing up the rules and breaking the law. Rising to meet this challenge is Palm City's very own Lieutenant Frank Mercer, head of the newly formed High-Speed Task Force.
Street racing has no place on public roads. Mark my words, if you are out there and you're engaging in this type of activity, we will find you. And if you think that you can get away by just hitting the gas, then you're in for a surprise. Because we are coming after you hard, and we are coming after you fast. Trust me, there is no escape.
Now, if that doesn't set up a character right out of the gate, I don't know what does. Now, going ahead into the gameplay here, or at least moving a little bit closer to the gameplay, you really start to see the style of night. Because as we know, this game is based in night and day. So, with that being said, you start off here in night with a very, very highly customized Volvo Polestar 1, and this thing is ridiculous. I mean, I was just kind of playing around with the controls a little bit at the start, trying to familiarize myself with everything, but you can see it's rocking a massive wide body, huge wing, and I really like what they've done with the exhaust flames. I mean, everything around the car is just turned up, you know? And as far as keeping you on the road, you don't have necessarily like a static, you know, directional arrow system. You just kind of more have this like flowing, sweeping, like trail of light, which is almost a little bit reminiscent of some older Need for Speed games, which is really, really cool. Now, coming into the city here, it's like so visually, like almost visually overwhelming because you're just looking at so many different lights and so many different buildings, so many different things, but it feels very alive. It feels very, like, I don't want to say raw. Raw is the wrong word, but alive is definitely the right word that I would use to describe this city. This city always feels like there's something going on, which really, again, goes back to that, like a true Need for Speed city. A true Need for Speed city really does need to feel like there's stuff going on all the time, and this one definitely pulls it off. Now, continuing on, I tried to attack the cop in the Camaro, although I kind of I didn't really think it through because I was like, wait a minute, that car is kind of necessary to what's going on in this particular storyline. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna leave him alone because I probably can't knock him out anyway, and carry on about my race. And there was a couple of instances in this first bit of driving where I was like, I'm not exactly sure, not necessarily like what to do here, but I did want to feel out the physics, and by feeling out the physics, I did put myself in a couple of situations where I was like, oh, probably shouldn't have been there, but it really does feel fast. Like, everything feels fast-paced, everything feels high speed, and you really feel like there's a lot coming at you, but at the same time, it's in a very manageable sense. So you really don't have to worry about it feeling like super overwhelming or anything, because it feels intense without being overwhelming, and I think that's one of the best parts about it here. Now, moving ahead,
shit! This cop's still on me! Anna, I'm on the bridge! That cop's trying to...
What did you do? What'd you do to that sweet-ass ride? You lost the car. He lost the car.
No, Shaw. This is on you.
You know, wish you never survived.
Who says he did?
What are we doing here?
Sending a message.
Wait, stop!
Hey, he said...
We're on camera back there.
Shaw, hold it.
So this is how we work now?
These crews gotta learn. You try making a mockery of my unit, you're gonna take the fall.
Frank, you're smarter than this. You want to send a message? You need a messenger.
You, get out of town. And if we see you or any of your crew around here again, you're gonna be joining that car. You understand? Get up. Go tell your friends.
Hey! What happened, bro? Where the hell's your car? Hey!
This is bullshit, Anna. Yeah, I'm out. I'm going back to Ventura, and I'm taking Richie with me.
But we're a crew!
Not anymore. It's over.
What? You just gonna walk to Ventura?
Yup. You're on your own.
Well, I know I said something similar to this at the beginning of the video, but if that's not an introduction, I don't know what is. Now, as far as everything else goes in this game, I am so excited to see where it all goes in terms of story. And as far as what I can show you guys over the next coming week, you guys will be able to check out the single player. You guys will be able to check out some customization. You guys will be able to check out some exploration. There is so much in store for you guys that, like, picking our first car is definitely... I will say, picking our first car is cool, but it's definitely not the craziest thing that we have coming in the next few days. So make sure you stay subscribed and stay tuned here to the channel because I cannot wait to share with you guys everything that we have coming up very, very soon. Now, as far as the starter car selection, I was kind of on the fence about what to choose, but I ended up deciding to go with, I'm going to go ahead and tell you all what I went with right now because I decided to go with the E30. Now, I know there's a lot of you guys, especially guys on my channel, that would probably go with the Camaro, but I was kind of bouncing back and forth between the 240 and the E30, and I was like, you know what? Definitely got to be the E30. Now, Frank Mercer is, as far as, you know, the character that he sets himself up as, he's actually properly scary. Like, you do not want to end up meeting him in the wrong place at the wrong time. At least I don't. So, as far as I'm concerned, he's definitely not the character that I want to be meeting at the end of a dark alley or whatever it ends up being, or a dark street or whatever. So, at the end of the day, I think they've done a really awesome job setting him up as that, you know, antagonist cop that does kind of hark back to maybe even the Sergeant Cross days, but, you know, we'll have to see later on down the road how he progresses and how that character matures, but you definitely get a really wide, like, a really big base of characters to start out with, you know, in terms of who you want your base character to be. I went with a very simple, very basic one, and it just kind of seemed to make sense to me. I almost did go with a female character. I almost did. Just, you know, I don't know. Like, the last time I played Need for Speed Heat, which was at Gamescom, I did go with a female character. But, you know, I was like, I'll change it up a little bit this time. But at the end of the day, everybody needs to pick a starter car whenever they jump into a Need for Speed game, and this one is no different. Now, I will say also, too, I really like the style that they've gone with the characters. I think the characters do look really, really cool. Now, again, jumping into the car selection, the cars you'll start out with are not going to be all that fast, but they are going to be very, very fun. And they're also going to be kind of, your, not necessarily your typical starter cars, but they're definitely going to be cars that you could see as being starter type cars. It's almost like picking starter Pokemon. In a way, it really is. But I thought about that Camaro just a little bit, and then I was like, wait a minute. I need to have something that's balanced. I need to have something that can do almost any event that I throw it at, or that I throw at it. And I figured that in the beginning of the game, we're probably going to be doing a lot of a lot of grip focused stuff, a lot of races, a lot of circuit races, a lot of sprint races. And the E30 definitely seemed like the most balanced pick for that.
Nice choice. Can't wait to try her out. I know some people at the Showdown. See about getting you a race. Gives me a chance to make sure she's working perfectly. What do you say? Sounds good.
Well, time to go ahead and drive our E30 for the very first time. Now, when they give you the option of these first two races, one is a Titan technical event, and then the other is a long sweeper-based event. They're both races, they're both circuit races, and I decided to go ahead and do the one with the long corners right off the bat. And this is the first glimpse we've ever had of leaving the garage and driving out onto the road. And I have to say, this environment is gorgeous. Now, I saw that billboard in front of me, and I was very tempted to just kind of go right for it. And then I was like, you know what? I should probably save that for later when I have a faster car and I'm going at a much higher pace. Now, jumping into these starter cars after driving the Polestar, I will admit, was a bit of a shock in terms of oh, I'm driving something that's not actually that fast right now. But, in true Need for Speed fashion, you really do start from the bottom and work your way up in terms of these starter cars, which I think is a very, very, very important thing, because it gives you that sense of genuinely starting from scratch, starting from the bottom, starting from having a beginning. And I think having a beginning is extremely important when you're talking about a game like this, because that way, you actually feel like by the time you get way later on and you have a bunch of cars, bunch of money, bunch of customization parts and everything, it really does feel properly satisfying. Now, jumping into the race, you also see the crowds on the side of the road, you see the moving signs on the side of the building, and you get little conversations here sometimes, before the races on the grid. So, really, really cool stuff. And again, I think the car selection is also nice and diverse. I mean, we have a pack right here with my E30, a couple of EK Civics, R32 GTR, a Mustang, a Firebird. How much more diverse can you get than that? I mean, that is properly diverse. Now, you can see right here, we had a little bit of grip handling there, and then we transition it into drift. Now, the way that you do that is not from the brake pedal anymore. In order to initiate a drift, what you need to do is go off and back onto the gas as quickly as you can. Snapping off the gas and back onto it again will initiate a slide and will put the car sideways. Braking into a corner will not initiate a slide and will not send the car sideways. So any of these little slides that you're seeing me do is from snapping the gas pedal, not the brake pedal. However, you do have to be careful, especially in these lower power cars, because drifts will now slow you down. They will not speed you up, kind of like they did in previous Need for Speed games. So keep that in mind if drifting is kind of a gameplay style that you played with in Rivals or Payback, or games like that. Because in this game, you do actually have to strategize when and where you let the car come loose and slide around the corner versus when and where you keep the car set and actually make it grip around the corner. Now, in this footage, I was really trying to kind of get a feel for everything and get a feel for the physics system and feel what was better used when and where. And so later on in the videos that you'll see coming later this week, you'll see that I kind of, got a little bit more accustomed to what worked better when and where with the physics system. But I'm really enjoying the physics system, and I think it definitely fits the game well. It suits the game well, and I really like it, actually. I really think that it feels smooth, and it doesn't force you to play any one specific way. You could play this game purely as a grip driver, and it's not going to penalize you for it. You could play it almost purely as a drift driver too, and it's not really going to penalize you all that much for that either. So it really just comes down to driving the way you want to drive and setting the car up the way you want to set the car up. So that's another big point of importance, because setting the car up actually really matters here in this game, because if you set it up with drift focused parts and you try to grip drive it, it's not going to work. But if you set it up with a bunch of grip focused parts and you really, you really make that focus all about setting the car up for grip driving, then it is actually going to grip really, really well. And like I said, I have more videos coming soon that will dive deeper into that physics system, that handling system, and will actually show you guys a little bit more in depth what happens when you modify a car more towards grip versus when you modify a car more towards drift. So driving along now, I actually kind of wanted to slow down for a little bit and then explore, and then I was like, wait a second. I have stuff to do. I was like, I have an objective to do. I am not needing to slow down right now.
Hello? Come on, open up. I can hear you in there.
They don't care. Did Lucas sell you this?
Yeah. You know him?
You could say that. He's my brother. That used to be mine. Won my first race in that bad girl. She's perfect for someone just starting out.
Fair enough. Hey, you mind telling me what their deal is?
Oh, stock is limited around town because of Showdown. They're only selling if they know you're gonna put the parts to good use.
Who says I won't?
Okay. Rookie's got confidence. How about a chance to prove you're more than just talk?
Let's do it.
Give me your phone. I'm Anna. There's only one way to make a name for yourself around here.
What, that's it?
I gotta make some calls. You stay on that thing. I'll be in touch.
Well guys, if you enjoyed our first video in Need for Speed Heat, make sure to click that like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought of it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more. And I will see you guys back in the next video. Talk to y'all later.